morning, legends. Monday morning, another opportunity to grind this week. Hopefully, oh wow, camera's going a bit. Hopefully you all have a massive week ahead, and if not, find something to do that is massive. Now, today is a Q&A day, which means that I answer questions from you guys. If you have any questions for next week, comment below. It can be literally about anything at all. Now, question 1, is the Coros foot pod worth it? Well, I actually think that the power data metrics are probably going to be revolutionary eventually for running. It's just really cool to be able to have this objective measure of running power, just like you can on the bike. It's really, really cool. Is the Coros pod worth it? Maybe for you. It's probably not as accurate as something like a Stride pod, because the Stride pod has a genuine power meter in there, whereas the Coros is kind of using data and accelerometers and your speed and incline, stuff like that. So the accuracy is a little bit there, but as long as the numbers that it gives you are fairly, relative, even if they're wrong, it doesn't really matter to me. So yes, it is worth it. Just don't lose the charger for it, basically. But I've got 8Ks to do, and my calves are very sore from yesterday because I don't really run on much pavement, and I did 14Ks on pavement, so the calves are feeling it. Okay, next question. What are your running goals for 2025? Well, I don't really have any, to be honest. It's more just to be healthy and fit and have, this streak of weekly running where nothing is hampering me and I can just stack volume, okay? That's all my goal is to do this year, is to get to the end of the year having ran pretty much every single week this entire year. That would be epic. Now, if I could manage to do that pretty comfortably, then the next thing would be to get a half marathon PB. I think I'm definitely capable of a 118 or something like that this year, so that's kind of something that I'll work towards. I have multiple races that I'm signed up for, so whenever I decide that I'm ready to absorb the training required to run a 118 half marathon, then I'll rip the shit out of it. But you know what I'd rather have more than a PB or even running consistent mileage is a good running hat, baby. Check this out. I think this one weighs about 49 grams, which is pretty good for a hat. I can't really complain about that, but it's time to go run. So let's get these calves warmed up. K, 5:10 per K. Had to have a pee stop and a drink stop, so that's pretty good. But my calves are really, really sore today, and there's a question about muscle soreness and DOMs, so we're going to address that right after I go have a shower and get some grapes in my belly. Fuck yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go! Okay, next question. Next question, which is highly relevant for me today. Is it safe to run with DOMs? Will I do more damage on an easy run if I run through it? I don't think so. The thing about DOMs is there are so many different mechanisms involved that produce delayed onset muscle soreness. It's hard to actually unwrap what's causing it in terms of, maybe it's connective tissue breakdown, muscular damage, lactate buildup. I think there's kind of a imbalance of enzyme activity in the muscle. That's also a mechanism that they think is producing these DOMs. And what I would say is that essentially you've done something and a stimulus has produced some sort of excessive fatigue. Maybe it's a different stimulus, and that can be a good thing, providing that after that you implement some sort of recovery strategy to get over this, whether it is taking a rest day, whether it's doing an active recovery, meaning that you're doing you know, some sort of training that it's even slower than an easy day, all you have to do is increase blood flow into that area. So any kind of metabolic processes that are going on, any muscular damage, any lactate buildup, any enzyme activity stuff are all going to be improved and sped up by just increasing blood flow to that area. So cross training, walking, easier than easy running, generally speaking, is going to be fine. But I guarantee that the next week, if you were to do the same stimulus again, you would have adapted to it and gotten better, and it's going to make you less sore. Okay, we don't want to be sore every single week of training. Okay, maybe the training that you're doing is a little bit too hard, dial it back a little bit, and in 6 months time, that same thing is going to feel absolutely fine the next day. Next question. What does the lactate zone feel like? My watch gives it to me in heart rate, but how do I actually know? Without a lab test, it's impossible to really know. Okay, generally speaking, the way that I feel with lactate zone or in that lactate threshold zone is that it feels like it's harder than easy, but it's not so hard that it's unsustainably hard. Like a 10K, for example, feels like it's unsustainably hard. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this for very long, so I've got to focus right now. Threshold to me feels like I'm putting a little bit of effort into every single step just to, you know, increase that speed of movement, but it's entirely controlled. And when I finish the rep, I'm still not quite feeling like shit, okay? That's essentially what I would say. And if you're a person that works off effort, threshold is going to be a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So just a little bit in reserve, a little bit faster than steady. So you're, you know, pushing the steps a little bit. It's a little bit harder, but it's not entirely unsustainable. And when you get to the end of the rep, you're all good. Epic. I got to go to work. Questions at lunchtime. Let's go. And the one thing about running and getting back into running again is that I'm hungry all the time. Like, so fucking hungry. Okay, next question. What are your views on running after a total hip replacement? Dude, as long as it's pain-free, play on. The best outcomes for people with total hip replacements is keeping that hip strong. And so if you're strong enough to run, you're going to be strong enough to keep that hip nice and healthy and happy. Okay, as long as it's pain-free, you're not getting any clunking or clicking or any kind of weird stuff, there's no neurological symptoms, then absolutely play on. And you're a beast for grinding that shit out. Good job. All right, let's go. Okay, next question. Any advice on cross-training, cycling in brackets, as someone who only cares about running and doesn't care too much about cycling performance? Yes, dude. Just do easy aerobic base building work on the bike and that should be perfectly fine. Like, if you don't care about smashing some local climb near your house at 5 watts per kilo and it's not going to be fun for you, then first of all, I wouldn't do anything that's not fun, and you know, it's just gonna be pointless. If you can get some aerobic base work in, maybe like a couple of hours a week on the bike, easy, done. That's probably the best thing for you. But I desperately need to stretch out my calves because they are so sore today. Okay, next question. I'm currently just building volume through easy runs, running faster when I feel good. Any suggestions for intervals or workouts for someone who is new to running workouts? My main goal is to just keep building general fitness. No race distance specific goals yet. Yes, bro. I made an entire video on how to progress yourself into speed workouts. I commented that to you, but I'll put it in the description of this video also. Generally speaking, you just have to work your way into it by doing really short workouts that aren't really that hard and adding in some nice progression runs. Okay, progression runs feel pretty good. You slowly work from easy pace up to a pace that starts to feel quite hard, and then you just lock it back down, do a warm down, and you go home. There you go. That's a good way to start it. And then another workout for that week could be a couple of 30-second hill sprints, maybe some 30-second strides as well is a good way to get started. And then all you have to do is just slowly add volume as your body tolerates it, because you don't want to get super sore and tired and fatigued from workouts. You want to slowly build it up. What the hell is that? Bro, it's an ant carrying another ant. His fallen brother. Dude, keep grinding it out. I want friends like this ant. Wow. Okay, next question. How do you calculate your pace you should be running on a treadmill that is equivalent to running on the road to keep training consistent? Look, so calculating paces on equivalency for the treadmill is kind of really hard, okay? I think they're both completely separate things, and if you just work off RPE, rated perceived exertion, effort levels at like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 on the treadmill should feel the same as a 7 or 8 out of 10 outdoors. So I would just work off an RPE scale and maybe even using heart rate to actually grade your workouts, and just start really conservatively on the treadmill. Put it at the pace that you think you can run outside, and then bump it up if you need to, or bump it down. That's as simple as it gets. It's not one for one. It's definitely not equivalent. There's something about treadmills that are just a little bit different to normal running, and it's something to actually get used to. Okay, next question. Hill sprints. Lots of different takes on distance and time and rest in between sets. Any thoughts and advice? It depends what energy system you're actually trying to improve with the hill sprint. Take the same principles of work to rest ratios in normal workouts and apply that to hill sprints, and you'll be absolutely fine. There's nothing that's any different. All that is different is the inclination, and so the paces probably change a little bit like that. But you know, when I do hill stuff, it's generally like the rest period will be the jog back down, and then like a 5 to 10 second little rest and a quick little drink of water, and then off I go again. That's about as much thought as I put into the hill sprints. Nothing crazy. All right, legends, that is it. I've got to go back to work now and probably actually get some food before that, because I'm absolutely famished. I'm starving. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Any questions, let me know in the comments below. Bye.